We welcome everyone to this first installment to the Gate in the Way to Life series. We will be looking at this verse in detail. However, in this first video, we will make only general observations. The two biggest issues we want to consider now are the fact that we have two different destinations. We have the destination of destruction and of life, and the other big issue is that between these two destinations we have a gate and a way. The first general observation is to note that Jesus is directly contradicting the concept that all roads lead to heaven. This is decidedly not the case, and in fact, 50% of the roads lead to destruction. So we have to be very careful about identifying which road we are on. Furthermore, Jesus describes the way to life as an obstacle course. This is very important because if someone is doing an obstacle course race, and that person decides to skip one or two of the obstacles, and that person gets to the end of the race and says, "Dear referee, give me my prize," the referee is going to say, "No, you don't get a prize because cheaters do not win. You are a cheater. In order to get to the prize, you have to get through the entire obstacle course. And on this obstacle course, there is a gate, which is the access point, and we have a way, which is the moral character. In order to help us keep track of where we are on the path to life, we note that the gate is instantaneous and the way is a lifelong journey. We mention this specifically because some people think that if they have an instantaneous religious experience, that they are on their way to life and that's it. That is, however, not the case. We have to get through not only the gate, but we have to get through the obstacle of the way. The gate is an access control mechanism. This mechanism determines what way we are on. The narrow gate leads us to the difficult way, and the wide gate leads us to the spacious way. Furthermore, the gate requires access granted. The traveler standing in front of the gate requests access, and the gatekeeper may or may not grant access. The spacious way, to get on the spacious way, requires no prerequisites. Anybody can get on this. Anyone can get through the wide gate. However, the narrow gate requires special credentials. Now, the way is a metaphor for our moral character, whether in the law, in reference to the Jewish Holy Scriptures, whether the law, the wisdom books, or the prophetic books, or the historical books, the way is referring to the moral character, unless it is a literal meaning of the word being referenced. The spacious way, as a metaphor, means going along with the crowd. In today's world, that means doing what Hollywood tells us what to do. That means doing what mainstream media tells us what to do. It also tells us that what the social media is pointing us towards in terms of right and wrong, that is the spacious way. If we find ourselves saying no to the crowd, that is saying no to Hollywood, no to social media, no to the mainstream media, and being ostracized for it, which is why the road is difficult, because we are being basically excommunicated from society. If we find ourselves saying no to the crowd, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, then the chances are high that we are on the difficult road. Now, the very fact that Jesus is mentioning this, he is speaking to people that are on the spacious way. He is then indicating that there is a way to get onto the difficult way, and namely through the narrow gate. Likewise, there is a means by which one can get from the difficult way back onto the spacious way. Some people will disagree. However, I invite you to analyze what Jesus is saying and get a gist of the spirit of the metaphor that Jesus is using. The very fact that Jesus uses the term way after the gate means that the gate only is not sufficient. If all we had to do to get to life is to go through a gate, then Jesus only needs to say, "Between you and life is a gate," and be done with the story. That is, however, not what Jesus said. Jesus tells us that there is a way after the gate. Furthermore, Jesus says and uses the adjective for difficult to describe the way. difficult requires and implies that not everyone who starts the journey finishes the journey. Not everyone who says, I want to be a medical doctor, becomes a medical doctor, because becoming a medical doctor requires a lot of effort and not everyone makes it. It is difficult. Not everyone who wants to become a sports pro becomes a sports pro, because becoming a professional athlete requires a lot of effort and not everyone makes it. At a very, very, very basic level, again, we are looking at this verse in a very, very general context, but at a very basic level, the person entering the narrow gate has to say and admit that I have not lived according to the way, and also commit to wanting to live according to the difficult way. Furthermore, once on the difficult way, the traveler has to say to God, give me the grace to stay on the difficult way, because truth be told, it is impossible to stay on the way without God's grace. It takes grace to get through the gate, and it takes grace to stay on the way. This is the scary part. Many end up in destruction and few end up at life. In a practical way of looking at this, when you are sitting at the stoplight and you watch the drivers drive by, the vast majority of the drivers are driving their way towards destruction. When you go to your workplace, the vast majority of the people around you will be working their way towards destruction. If you go to school and you are of school age, then the vast majority of people around you are studying their way towards destruction. Turning the corner, letting that sink in. What about you and what about me? The odds are stacked against us. The vast majority of people are going to destruction, and that means if we just go along with the flow, that's where we end up. If we want to end up at life, we're going to have to do something different than what the crowd is doing. The summary of our general observations: there are two destinations, destruction and life. The statistics are stacked against us. Most will end in destruction, only a few will end in life. There are two obstacles to get through. We have to get through both. One is the gate, two is the way. The gate is instantaneous. The way is long-term. Jesus did not say 30% of the way, 50% of the way, 99% of the way. He said the way, implying 100% of the way. The narrow gate is the access ramp to the difficult way. There is no reason to get on this access ramp unless we want to get on the difficult way. It does not make sense to say, I want to get through the narrow gate in order to get back to the spacious way. So the narrow gate is the access ramp to the difficult way, and do not go along with the crowd. This concludes this initial initial video of this series. Please look out for the following videos. Thank you and have an awesome day. Bye.